0-2 pitch. Hit toward third. Castro has it. Spins. Fires. A perfect game. Roy Halladay has thrown the second perfect game in Philadelphia.
Line drive, right center field, base hit.
Ground ball over the mound. Waiting for it. One thing, he booted it. One runner's in. Here comes Swift to throw. Save! Harper hits one in the air. Left center field. Back it goes. Harper, the swing of his life. Fastball hit to left. It is long gone. And Hamels with a 3-2 pitch. Swing and a high fly ball deep center field. Herrera back on the track. And did he make the catch? He fell down and he's got it.
Here's the strike by Robinson. The 3-0 pitch. Swing and long drive. There it is. Number 500. The career 500th home run.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 18 of the Bell Smashers podcast. I'm your host, Kyle.
I'm Jen.
And with us, Bill Haley today, busy with the radio. It's crazy time around there. But with us today is a very, very special guest, if you can't see. It is Lehigh Valley GM, Mr. Kurt Landis. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you two?
Fantastic.
Great.
Thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure. Anytime I get to talk baseball season's almost upon us, it's a great thing. So
Yes, we completely agree.
we are, let's see, today is Wednesday. We are just under 3 weeks from our home opener, and just a hair over 2 weeks before we play our opener on the road against the Rochester Red Wings. So it's cold, it's blistery. As I look out my window, hard to believe 2 weeks, but I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready too.
It's weird because we've had the shortest off season, and with spring training happening, we have players that won't be on the major league roster that will be coming down to either Lehigh or all the other affiliates. So how do you, as the GM of the Iron Hawks, how do you kind of handle that situation?
With the roster?
Yeah.
It's really not difficult from our end. I wish we knew who we were getting and when we were getting them. But that's our role, is to kind of welcome the players we do receive with open arms and prepare them, give them a very easy transition from spring training to the Lehigh Valley. It's exciting. There's been a lot of improvements in minor league baseball over the last decade, and especially over the last few years. But these guys come in and they transition very quickly into their own apartments now. They spend a few days here at the baseball diamond getting kind of used to their new digs and, the equipment, facility, learning the community a little bit. And it's now we literally just had a large renovation and some new construction here at Coca-Cola Park. So our clubhouses, our player facilities, the medical training, strength and conditioning facilities and offices are quite honestly second to none. And in fact, they almost rival Citizens Bank Park to some degree because they're brand new and all the technology that comes along with that. So it's pretty exciting. We've always had a great ballpark, and our facility is only 15 years old. But with the new requirements and guidelines for what you have to have at a minor league venue. We're probably the first team or first venue in the country to really have those done and ready for this April. So the players that come here, I'm sure they'd rather be in Philadelphia, but they're in front of a fan base that, despite us being 27th out of 30 in terms of the size of market in AAA, last year we finished second in attendance. So they're used to playing in front of large crowds. They have the best facilities. They're only an hour from Philadelphia. If you're to be a AAA player, this is the best place to be a AAA player. And we'll do our best to kind of help the guys be in a position to succeed and move back up to Philadelphia.
Yeah. Congratulations on that, by the way. I saw you all average over 9,000 fans per game, even though that's even more than the Coca-Cola Park can seat. So can you talk more about that, like the work that you've put into to foster that kind of environment with the fans?
I think it started 15 years ago when we named our team. We could have named our team the Lehigh Valley Phillies, which is obviously a great name, but we wanted to have our own unique brand, and we wanted to be very bold and unique and creative and fun. And when you choose a name like Iron Pigs, not only did it pay homage to the local industry, we took pig iron, which is a by-making product of the steel process, turned it to Iron Pigs. But it just said, hey, this is going to be fun and we're going to be bold. And I think since then, our staff has accepted that challenge, and we really created a brand that people said, oh, this is more than just a baseball game. And baseball is the core of what we do, and it's the heart of everything. But we really take a lot of pains and effort to make the experience here a lot more than just a baseball game. And that's really what's led to the success. It's taking care of the facility. It's focusing on fun, family, affordable entertainment. It's focusing on kids. It's immersing in the environment that's extremely engaging. It's about having great, fresh food and recognizing that the restaurant, we're the largest restaurant in the Valley. No one else serves 10,000 people in 2.5 hours. So you recognize you're an entertainment venue as much as you are a baseball team. And when you embrace both equally, baseball and the entertainment, people have no reason not to come, even if you're not a baseball fan.
Yeah, that's incredible. And I haven't made it out there yet, but I want to, hopefully this season. And I have a 10.
Wait a second. What rock have you been hiding underneath your entire life?
I know. Well, Kylie and I actually both live out of state in the Washington, D.C. area. So that's part of it. But I won't let it be an excuse anymore. And I'm bringing my 10-year-old nephew who loves baseball, and I know he'll have an amazing time.
Okay. Well, great. Well, I look forward to hosting you.
Thanks.
You'll have an amazing time.
I actually went to my first Iron Pigs game last year, and it's a beautiful area. I loved it up there. It's not only like a beautiful area outside, but inside I genuinely love the ballpark. It's definitely one of my favorites.
See, Kylie, now you're my favorite. Sorry, Jen.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Okay, I'm coming to 10 games this season.
All right. That's the attitude I want to hear.
I'll go to all of them.
I'm moving to Lehigh Valley. Breaking news.
Before we do continue, I did forget to mention this. We are brought to you by Fired Up Sports and Manscaped. They just released their hedge trimmer. Go check them out. Use Bell Smash at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. They got everything out there. So just wanted to shout them out real quick. But to continue, so you said you had to renovate the stadium this year with all the rules and the new regulations. How when you had to handle, how did you go about handling that as far as from top to bottom with everybody trying to get everything done?
It was a heavy lift because it was a difficult, minor league baseball coming off of COVID in 2020, our entire season was canceled. So to have genuinely no revenue for the entire 2020 season, and then in the very beginning of 2021, in order to keep your professional baseball license and they maintain your affiliation, all the teams had to sign, and as part of that agreement, you had to create and provide for player facilities that were updated, so that all the minor league baseball system can be updated to be improved upon, which is needed. There's a lot of facilities across the country. Like I said, I don't think ours was in near the undesirable shape as many others. But it was difficult coming off of COVID to raise those funds. It's about having great partnerships in your local community. We've developed those relationships over time, and you're able to develop those relationships because you give back to the community through charitable contributions, through being a good partner. And so when you have a need, like we did to raise funds for the ballpark renovations, people recognize that it's not just about you and trying to run your own business. They recognize what you do in the community and how you help and support others. So when you have a need, our community was there to help us. And it was a great partnership between ourselves helping to fund those, as well as the state of Pennsylvania, as well as Lehigh County, which is also our landlord. But we even had our neighboring county, Northampton County, support us with funds as well, because they recognize the impact we have on both the two counties here that make up the Lehigh Valley. And even our local Chamber of Commerce help support us because they recognize our importance and our support of the entire business community. So from that standpoint, we were able to raise about $7.5 million of funds. The Iron Pigs ourselves, we've placed about $3 million of funding into the project, and the project is about $10.5 million total. Now the Phillies, to their credit, we had to get to the minimum facility standards, and that was that $10.5 million number roughly. The Phillies said, hey, we don't want this just to be the minimum. We want this to be an incredible experience for our players. And they came in and invested some additional dollars on top of that to help put on some nice finishing touches that make this, again, not just doing the minimum, but wow, they've gone above and beyond with literally the small things that make this facility walk in, kind of your jaw drops a little bit. So it's been a great partnership among all the different parties.
Yeah, I remember everything that, because I remember they had to do all the renovations and all of that. And I remember saying, like, I really hope it gets done because the Iron Pigs Lehigh Valley is really close to Philly. So it's not only for the players to be close to the team, but the Iron Pigs themselves. So I remember you guys would always do stuff for the community, and I would always see everything, and I was very, very happy to see everybody come together and see that construction happen.
Yeah, I don't think it was ever a risk of us not doing it. We've had great relationships, great people. It's a great market for a lot of different reasons. We talk about the fan attendance. We talk about the passion that exists in this region for sports and for the Phillies. It's just a matter of trying to bring everybody to the table and work together. And we're lucky. I mean, we started immediately after we signed what they call the player development agreement. And it still took us, over 2.5 years to really be in the position that we are now. And we're still trying to finish up construction with 2 weeks to go. I mean, it's a lot of work. And so there's teams that, because of financial reasons or because they don't have the relationships in their community, or because they have to raise a lot more funds than what we had to raise. There's teams now that are struggling to do that. Now everyone's making good faith efforts, but it's not easy. It's not easy to find those dollars, especially for teams that are not successful with attendance, or for teams that don't have the same types of relationships that we're fortunate to have, or they just have facilities that really need a significant amount of work. Some teams have to build new ballparks. So it's more cost effective than renovating their existing one. So it's been a great partnership, and it's almost done. It's exciting to have that ready, and it'll really help to improve the Phillies player system, not only for us to have these improvements, but in Reading and Clearwater, Lakewood, New Jersey, with the Blue Claws there. But I'm also excited once this project's over in the future to be able to do things that reinvest in the fan experience. Now we have the best player facilities, and we brought those up entirely and then some. And our ballpark is considered one of the most fan engagement ballparks in minor league baseball. But I think our goals are always to be number one. And what else can we do here to make it great for our fans? If it's new attractions or party spaces, my staff makes fun of me. I want fireworks more often. We have fireworks shoot out of the scoreboard. We have flamethrowers. We have flamethrowers going off when we score runs. It's a real theatrical environment at the ballpark here.
I love that, and I do think it contributes to the overall experience, and appreciate how thoughtful you and your team are with that. And that's a good segue, I think, into my question. A lot of our listeners were asking if you could just talk about your role in general. You're the only GM in franchise history. So can you talk about what you do, how that might differ from a major league GM? PEX Phillies on Twitter wanted to know if you can make trades. So things like that folks are curious about.
Well, I can only make trades. Like, I'll give you a half pound of bacon in exchange for some, Chick-fil-A. No, my role as GM it's confusing because so many you hear the role GM and you see that in the newspaper of making trades with players. Our players are provided to us by the Philadelphia Phillies, and they are employees of the Phillies. So it's important to have relationships, and we provide the team with their uniforms, their travel. We help with the housing accommodations and hotels when they travel. We really do almost everything for them except for pay their salaries and determine, who plays first, who plays second, and who gets to play in Reading versus Lehigh Valley and Philadelphia. My role is to make sure that the business of the ballpark is in order. So that's, merchandise, food and beverage, ticket sales, sponsorships, the marketing, the PR, those things that make the business successful here. But, I tell people a lot, people ask what I do day to day, and besides making sure that other people do their jobs for us to be successful and stay on track to be successful, a lot of my job is just maintaining relationships. And that's trying my best with, from our owners to Major League Baseball to minor league baseball to the Philadelphia Phillies, then our full-time employees, part-time employees, our sponsors, our fans. And sometimes those groups of people don't see eye to eye. Our full-time employees want something that our owners don't. Phillies want something that our fans don't want. So you're in the middle and trying to always not necessarily negotiate, but do what's best for all parties and represent everybody, and still maintain a successful organization that's involved in the community. And you want to feel proud of our brand. So that's kind of in a 60-second, 2-minute nutshell of what I do. But
yeah, your elevator speech, it was great. Thank you.
I'll trade you a pound of bacon for one of those Bacon USA jerseys, though.
Yeah,
people love our logos. People love our jerseys. About 10 years ago, we kind of nicknamed the experience at Coca-Cola Park as Bacon USA, and so now we have, instead of season ticket holders, we have Bacon USA members. Our jerseys, for a number of our jerseys, have bacon. You don't have too many teams that have a strip of bacon on the cap, which is, a dead form of your mascot, on your cap.
Right.
But it's fun and people laugh, and that's what, we think the experience is about. And but we have a lot of fun with our promotions. They're very unique. It's a huge part of what makes our brand popular locally.
I absolutely love the the pig stuff and then the bacon.
Me too. Me too.
I've been asking the admin of the Iron Pigs store to get bacon pillows.
And that would be cute.
We used to sell, I'm not sure why we don't any longer. We have clothes that smell like bacon. It was scratch and sniff hats and scratch and sniff T-shirts. You'd scratch the bacon, it smelled like bacon.
What?
Yeah. One of the most popular food items at the ballpark is the caramelized candied bacon on a stick, which
Yes.
is pure heaven to eat. My goal is to have that replace the hot dog at our ballpark. We're not there yet, but it's incredible. Pork is a big part of our concessions menu, to say the least.
Yeah.
You can always do some fun stuff with pigs. Anything.
It's on brand, literally.
Right.
So we've had Mark Appel and Derek Hall on this podcast, and we've read tons of articles of other players and Jose Alvarado specifically talking about it. And these are all players that have gone from the Phillies and then back to the Pigs. And they have all said that they don't feel like it's a demotion. They feel like it's them just getting a different way of improving what they're doing and really honing in on a skill that they need to improve on. And first of all, I just wanted to say I appreciate that you guys are able to do that and make them feel like it's not a demotion. And I was just curious how you guys were able to do that with so consistently from what I've seen a ton of players say that.
Well, I appreciate that. For starters, Mark Appel and Derek Hall are two all-time, not only great players that have played here, but just good people.
Yeah,
right?
We love them.
We love them.
We've had every year, we'll have 50, 60, even 70 different players come through the Lehigh Valley on in and out, different reasons. And there's always, out of that, let's say 60 players, there's probably a dozen that, and there's a lot of good guys, and they're focused on their careers and their jobs and trying to improve. But there's some people that come through that see things in a different perspective and understand their career path and the game and how they relate to fans and their own personal brands. And they have a better perspective sometimes than others. And those two guys are amazing people and leaders on the team. So it's good. You've talked to two good ones, but I think, and I started the show a little bit, like you want this to be an environment that people are very comfortable with, that they feel welcomed. I think it's always sometimes a little bit of natural awkwardness because there's business goals that we have and that I oversee with the front office, and then there's player development goals that the team has, and you try to work with each other. And every once in a while, there's something that comes up that's a conflict, and you just want to have a relationship so that you can work with each other, help each other out. Maybe scratch their back, they scratch our back, and inherently you're on the same team, right? You're really trying to help these guys improve and succeed, regardless of wins and losses. You want the guys to feel positive about their experience in the Lehigh Valley. So to the degree that we can help them in their career paths, and I'm not helping anybody learn how to hit better or learn how to hit a curveball, but in terms of there's some guys that really enjoy the environment and appreciate it, and it's amazing too. Those guys are recent, but it's fun when you hear from players that have come through here, and at the time they're so focused on their careers or disappointed they're in AAA versus the majors, and then when they look back on their career and they come through, or you see them or talk to them, and like, hey Kurt, that was the best ballpark experience I ever had. Or when I was there, I kind of took it for granted because I wasn't focused on it, but looking back, that was the best year I ever played baseball. And those are the compliments that mean a lot, to myself.
Yeah, it's nice to hear people say all of that, not just because they're an affiliate of the Phillies, but just a team being able to handle everything like that and be able to keep that consistently keep that like almost family dynamic kind of from top to bottom is something that is really cool to see.
And the Phillies have just been known for that for years. You might not know the name Dave Montgomery, or maybe you do, but Dave was the patriarch in my mind of Philadelphia Phillies baseball for 40 years. And Dave was a guy that knew players by name, by first name. I don't know how he did it because the violent players that come through knew employees by first name. And of course, it helped he'd been there for 40 years. But he really created a culture of family that existed within the Philadelphia Phillies. And it was sad he departed this earth. And but he created that culture that I think still exists today within the Phillies about family and taking care of each other, and that extends to the affiliates, the minor league affiliates, as well as the players themselves.
Oh yeah, I think I can speak for all Phillies fans, and when we recognize the impact that he had, absolutely.
Yeah, that's not a name that is that's definitely a special name that a lot of people definitely, if they don't know it, should know it, because I remember I've heard tons of stories about him.
All true, and the most genuine person you could ever meet.
Yeah, I'm glad he was able to see that we have. Wasn't he a huge part of getting the All-Star game in Philadelphia back or something?
Oh, I think he was. That All-Star game's coming up now. I think about 2026.
Yeah,
I believe. I think that was one of his last projects that he really spearheaded was, ensuring that the All-Star game returned to Philadelphia.
I'm definitely going to go to that.
Me too.
Very, very excited for that. Haley did have a question, although she can't be on the show this time. She said, is there a player that has changed your outlook on the game? And if so, who?
Gosh.
Or multiple.
Or multiple. I mean,
it's hard to say an individual player that has changed the outlook on the game. This is my 30th year in baseball. So I have some players that I have a lot of appreciation for because I feel like as they came through the system, they had an appreciation for what you did in the front office. And that was, even if I used to be a director of ticket sales before I was a GM. One of the first players I really gravitated towards was Sean Casey. Sean then, played professionally for the Cleveland Indians and the Cincinnati Reds. He was a personality for MLB Network when it was relatively new. He was kind of a mayor. He would just come and sit in the front office and tell stories and just enjoyed engaging with people. And to me, that was somebody that, at a much younger age, you looked at and said, how they meet and interact with people, regardless of your status or regardless of where you're at in life, that was impressive. I've picked up different things from players along the way, and just like you do from anybody, you kind of remember what someone says. You want to create. As I get older, you want to create, a legacy for what we do here at the ballpark that your employees and your players, and especially the fans, come to enjoy. There's been players along the way that I've appreciated because you can kind of ask for feedback, and you'll get honest feedback that's helpful, which isn't always the case. But Mark Appel, Derek are those two of those players. Aaron Barrett last year was another one of those players who just retired. I think Andy Tracy, who was one of our all-star players here the first 2 or 3 years, played very quickly, shortly with the Philadelphia Phillies, but had a off again, on again major league career, is now a AAA manager in the Cleveland Indians farm system. Rich Thompson, who was an amazing story of a guy that was played in the minor leagues his entire life and finally got to play with the Phillies, I think back in 2012 for a little bit. Good people, good attitudes. I think that's what I appreciate and remember the most about some of the guys. It's almost so large number of players, you almost have to look back at rosters and go, oh yeah, that I remember this person because they were a great human being as much as I remember what their stats were. Michael Franco, the guy's happy. The guy's just happy all the time. So you rooted for him. Anyway, I could go on and on, I guess, but it's hard to remember everybody.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of players. But I remember Mike Health. He was my cousin's favorite, and he was definitely one of my favorites when he was with us. So
Yeah, agreed.
One of our guys.
Yes, for sure. Well, you spoke a little bit about, your community events that you all have out there, charity, fundraising work, things like that. So what plans do you have for this upcoming season in regard to just giving back to the community, or in general, things that looking ahead to the season, what can we look forward to?
It's funny. I just had today we have a charity foundation called Iron Pigs Charities. We meet quarterly with our board of directors, which is some of our staff, but it's also a large number of people from the community, including some of our sponsors. We just made decisions today. We're going to hand out about $60,000 in grants to local leagues and youth organizations to help improve their facilities. In the fall or late fall, we handed out another $75,000 in grants to different local nonprofit organizations. And we do a lot of different things year over year, including hosting an event here at the ballpark before Halloween. And even though it's trick or treating, it's for kids with different abilities, different mobility concerns, maybe underprivileged kids, be it socioeconomically or with physical handicaps. That's really rewarding to have about 1,000 kids here every year trick or treating. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to trick or treat. It's a safe environment. It's accessible. You can't do that going up and down driveways and steps, trick or treating house to house. We also take each year as a staff, we go out and visit a little league that might be in a difficult financial position or an inner city group. And we'll go out and renovate one of their baseball fields. And then what we'll also do is I say this jokingly, kidnap a couple of teams. We'll go out to their field. We'll surprise them. We'll pull up with a mascot and a bus. And we announce that we're removing their game from their Little League field and doing it at Coca-Cola Park.
Oh, wow.
It's, to be here, we give them uniforms, we announce their names, we have their pictures on the video board. And this is all a surprise to the kids. So not only to renovate their facility, but to actually bring the kids here for a game is a very proud community moment. So those are some things to do year over year. But a lot of what we do is helping to support our community's needs, as long as it fits within our charity's mission of youth and sports recreation, keeping kids active, especially for underserved populations. That's important to us. We actually, I had to prepare for an article that's coming out here soon, and I had to go back and add up all the different contributions that we've given, cash contributions, and we're over $2.6 million in our 15 years that we've given back to the community.
Amazing.
Wow.
So that's something we're very proud of. And excited about. We wouldn't be able to do that if it weren't for the fans. I mean, for our 50-50 raffle, our different fundraisers we host here, it's our community that gives those dollars to us that we're able to give back to those in need.
I love that. That's amazing. I don't have any minor league affiliates around me, and I know Jen and DC, you don't either, but I definitely play Little League.
Far from Fredericksburg, right? The Fredericksburg Nationals aren't that far from DC or Bowie.
See, I was thinking the Keys. I forgot they're not even an affiliate of the Orioles anymore.
Like the Keys are affiliated, but they're still, that's a good family entertainment. But but Fredericksburg is affiliated with the Nationals, and I think Bowie might be affiliated with the Orioles still. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they are. I didn't even think of that because I used to play Little League, and if I was able to play in any kind of stadium like that, That's really cool. That's a great idea.
Once in a lifetime opportunity that they'll never forget.
Ever.
It's cool. It's extremely cool. I don't know how stuff. To see the kids' faces, it's impactful. It's very impactful.
Absolutely. And every professional player was a kid once. So
yeah,
you'll probably see some of those kids one day.
Hopefully.
Yeah, you never know. I love that. So this past season, I believe it's all jumbled up. The lockout. How are the minor league teams affected, and how did you guys kind of handle that outside of the Phillies?
Oh gosh, the lockout seems like so long ago.
That's what we were saying.
It was only a year ago. I can't remember everything.
It was.
See,
everything was delayed in the end, only a week, thankfully. But it's just that question mark, and it didn't really impact the minors because we were going to play our games regardless. But it impacted us in terms of people were just not thinking about baseball or not understanding that minor league baseball was still going to be played regardless. In the end, I'm not sure if it had a financial impact or not. I think it's hard because you don't want to see labor stoppage, and you don't want to see bad blood in the news or pictures of the commissioner or the union chief going in and out of parking lots to meet in spring training facilities. We kept quiet. You have to in those situations, and you just have to stay ready and prepared. Be positive, and talk about your upcoming season and the things that are great about your venue, your ballpark, and your experience. And that's what you do. And in many ways, we're used to not necessarily promoting the players because our players kind of come and go within the year over year. So even though it's about the players and about the game to a large degree, it's not as critical as I think as the Philadelphia Phillies or major league teams, that the names are such a critical aspect. And we were going to play games and continue to have our brand of entertainment no matter which players were here. But just because it was a negative for baseball and people get frustrated because you feel there's millionaires fighting with millionaires, you just want to see the best outcome for baseball, because at some degree you want as many fans as possible, even though you're not necessarily directly impacted by a work stoppage at that time. So hopefully there's peace in the kingdom for a long time. I think I'll tell you, I support a lot of the initiatives that have come up in terms of rule changes that make the game a better pace, that make the game more offensive. I've been saying for 20 years about making extra innings go faster. I was suggesting to put do a home run derby if we get past 10 innings.
That's what I would like too.
So it's kind of like hockey. You have a shootout. You just forget the game and you have a shootout. It'd be the same experience, and I don't mind giving 2 points for a win, 1 point for a home run derby loss, and 0 points for a regular loss. To me, that just adds excitement to the game. And you have a lot of fans when a game goes over 3 hours. You have kids. You can't stay for the entirety of the game. But if it's a tie game or a close game, you get to the end of the 10th inning, there's a chance to have a home run derby off. That's excitement. And I think the sport needs to, it's hard. There's a lot of traditionalists, and when the sport's the same year over year, it's easy to compare stats. And that's such a huge part of the game, is talking about, comparing Mantle to Aaron Judge or, whatever. But other sports do it successfully. You add the 3-point line, you change the kickoff rule in the NFL. You have to reinvent your game to stay relevant. And these are very small things. And I hope there's more larger things in the future, but I'm all for it. And I think that's important to keep or to try to attract a younger age of fan.
I was very curious about the rule changes from
Me too.
a GM's perspective. So that's I
It's
love
been interesting
that.
to see all the focus on it at spring training, and we've had the
Yeah.
pitch clock here for 5 years. So people are like, how's a pitch clock going to impact it? Well, just ask anyone who's been doing it for 5 years. It's been a very positive for the game. You see a huge change of pace of play, more balls in play, and it takes 2 to 3 weeks for the players to adjust. After that 3 weeks, you find the players enjoy it. So.
Yeah, I definitely think that the only reason it's become an issue so far is because they're not used to it, especially with players that
Right.
have been there for a decade.
Mhm.
And when I went to my first Iron Pigs game last year, I did see the pitch clock, and the game did go very fast. It was a little over 2 hours.
Now there's 120 teams in minor league baseball. Our time of game in 2021 was 3 hours and 14 minutes, which is the slowest in minor league baseball. And last year they actually enforced the pitch clock better. They were instructed to enforce the pitch clock in 2022. Our game time went from 3:14 to 3, and we were still the second slowest team in all of minor league baseball. The average game
Wow.
time throughout baseball was about 2:44, I believe, and that's the right 2:35 to 2:45. I think that's the right pace. So we're getting there. But you saw a fast game, but you still likely saw one of the slower games in minor league baseball when you were here.
Wow.
Whatever reason, we have more pitching changes here. I think because the rosters have grown in size. But yeah, I mean, it is a better game, I think, for the consumer.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't like affect a game, cause a win or loss, as it's been seeing in spring training. But I do like it.
People agree with that sentiment, but you can't have a rule that's different in the ninth inning versus in the first inning.
Right.
It's a rule,
That
it's a
makes
rule, and
sense.
you got to abide by it.
That makes sense.
I hope it doesn't happen either, but it's going to.
Yeah.
Players just have to get used to adjusting. It's a rule of the game, just like holding or pass interference in the Super Bowl. Can't
Too
not
soon.
call it. Not call it. You can't not call it if it happens. I mean,
Yeah.
just because it's in the last 2 minutes, if it's a rule, it's a rule. Sorry, Eagles. There goes our fan attendance. But
No, I will still be there. I promise.
Yes, I'm still definitely going. I loved going to the game. So did you play baseball as a kid? Like, what got you into baseball and wanting to
Yeah.
be the GM? And
How'd you get here?
Like any kid, I was involved in sports. I enjoyed it. It was a huge passion of mine. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but sports sounded really cool. I decided to do sport management. Throughout my college, I did a number of internships or practicums, and one of my final ones was with the Toledo Mud Hens, AAA team for the Tigers in Toledo, Ohio. I grew up in Ohio, and I found that I really enjoyed it, probably because they have great people there, and you enjoy the environment that exists in minor league baseball, and the creativity, the fun, and part of it was because more than other sports, I felt you had the ability to kind of put your signature on the game, and we have 18 different Broadway shows at the ballpark that last 2 minutes each between every half inning, and other sports have a halftime or between periods you can do the same, but baseball, because of the downtime in baseball and the casualness of it, you really have a chance to kind of put your creative spin on the activity. Where I think in football or even basketball or hockey, you're very focused on the game and the outcome. Baseball, there's so many games. Not that you don't want to see a winning team, but part of the experience is much more than wins and losses, especially at the minor league level. So that attracted me to minor league baseball, and here I am, 30 years later. I like to say I started when I was 5, but I'd be lying.
I love it. D Hall is a fisher. Do you fish?
poorly and rarely, but I have.
Yeah. What do you like to do outside of work?
Well, this game requires a lot of my time and hours. I treat it almost like a hobby, unfortunately, which is probably unhealthy. But outside of here, I enjoy spending time with my kids. I coach. My daughter now is a sophomore in college, and then my son's a junior in high school. And I still coach his rec basketball team every year. And
Nice.
to me, it's a time that I have more time to spend with my kids in the winter, and to be able to coach them is something I enjoy, getting to know my kids better, but then their friends. So that's the big part of my spare time. Otherwise, travel and seeing other ballparks and seeing friends.
I love it. Family man.
That's right.
One final question for me. When a major league manager is relieved of his position, does it affect the minor league system in any kind of way? Aside from the call-ups?
If you're referring to like the Girardi, that's because it's most recent, right? I don't think in the middle of the year it impacts us. I think there could be very, very small things if a change at that transition happens in the off season, or for Thompson in this instance, if he had something that's very specific in his mind that he wanted to implement throughout the minor leagues. Generally speaking, you're seeing that through the player development, and player development really moves less because of what Rob Thompson wants or Girardi or any manager. But there's more of a consultative look at how players are being developed, and different organizations have different philosophies, but they generally start to think similar in terms of, hey, throwing a weighted baseball, helps to reduce injuries before the game, or these are the activities to reduce injury or improve player performance. And now we have at the ballpark a ton of cameras and angles, because it all goes into the analytics, and there's almost so much information that managers have at their fingertips. It becomes difficult to digest because of the volume of information that's there. But you'll see teams that, grab that information, and some use it more, some use it less. But I think overall, when it comes as a specific manager dictating one thing or the other, there might be small things. There was a manager at the major league level that was really, he wanted this type of food and this type of meal. And that was groundbreaking more 10 years ago than it is now. Now there's dietitians and nutritionists that travel with the team, even at the minor league levels. So there are some things, but generally speaking, I think it's more of a group collaborative effort within each affiliates or each major league team's player development system, as far as what they want the minors to look like and behave. And that does involve feedback from the major league staff at times as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. I learned a lot in this chat with you.
And you haven't even been to a game yet, Jen. It's just
I know.
to a game, how much more you're going to learn.
I will see you in the near future. And my final question is just, what else do you want to share with our listeners, plug for the upcoming season, besides me coming to several games?
You and all your friends. For me, we want people to experience the ballpark, right? So buy tickets, but so much about us is the fun and unique, goofy promotions. And that ties a lot into our merchandise. If you go to our store at shopironpigs.com, you see the merchandise that we have, and we have so much fun throughout the year. We change our name from time to time, and we change our moniker and our identity. And those are things that fans really gravitate to. If we're changing our name to the stakes, and fans vote if they want with or without, and then we come out with uniforms that have onions or don't have onions, or last year, we became Wooder Ice, not Water Ice, Wooder Ice.
Correct.
That was our identity for a game. Or we were one year the Lehigh Valley John, JAWN. So there's lots of things that we do each year to kind of poke fun at ourselves, or sometimes it's very serious. If it's supporting cancer initiatives, or there's things that we do that are just fun in the community that just make people come to the ballpark and laugh because it's Scrapple night, and we have hats that say Lehigh Valley Scrapple, and a Scrapple logo, and a little fighting piece of Scrapple, and there's always something different. There's always something new and different. So we invite people to come see the experience. We invite people to shop the store without being too commercial, But it's been a pleasure to be on the show. It's always fun to talk about the Iron Pigs. It's fun to talk about baseball. I wish you the best of success with the podcast. Hope to see you both at a game. When you do, please come up and say hi, or let me know when you're coming.
We will. Absolutely.
Absolutely will. We definitely appreciate you coming on. It's been a ton of fun. I cannot wait to go to games. It was fun last year. Jen, we're definitely going to go together.
We will. Yes.
Yes. So thank you so much for coming on. It's been fun.
I'll save you a piece of bacon.
Yay.
Yes,
Thank you.
Please. I'm definitely going to get that Bacon USA jersey because that's the one I want. We will see you guys next week. Again, it's been a pleasure having you on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you both.